Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This is not the main video, it's just, well, we normally have a bit on the end, this is a bit on the front. The sun has just reached its maximum amount on the roof, and as you can see, it's now a good third of the way down the roof. That's all of that now not in the sun. So there's a lot less in the sun. Plus it's 1:30 and it's just reached its maximum. That corner shadow is what moves across. Probably 3 hours and it will be gone. So on what is the peak of the heat wave, and not far from here, they're looking at 36 to 38 degrees. I won't get that here on the coast, but what we're looking at is 25. Now I've had to put the humidifier on because I've had the door open for a bit. But yeah, so 25 degrees, and I'll turn the humidifier off in a minute, probably at around 90% at 25 degrees. The plants will do fine with that. So the days of having the door open, I believe, are over, because today is the peak of the latest heat wave, and it's going to start getting cooler at the weekend. So yay, at last. There's still no sign of, you know, substantial rain. There's still no sign of that. So 60 days plus for me, and so it goes on. Right, on to the main video. We have some packages to open. Hi, we don't need to do the hi, we've already done that. I keep forgetting there's a bit on the front. Right, we have some packages to open. Orchid related, but not actually orchids. There are no new orchids for the foreseeable future. So for a while. Those of you who zoom in or have giant TV screens, you'll have to excuse the mucky shirt with me drips from me pizza down the front. But I shall put a clean shirt on tomorrow. I'm not putting a clean shirt on halfway through the day. That would be silly. Right, we have packages to open. These are predictable if you've been following the videos and listening carefully. So the logic of this one is that Hannah's got mine, so I need a replacement. Now, this is not exactly what I ordered, but it is. I'll explain. I ordered this, and I've ordered a replacement exactly the same as what I had before. And I got a message from the guy, the seller on eBay, saying that the packaging has all been changed and it now comes under a different brand name. But what's inside the bottle is exactly the same as it was before. Do I wish to continue, or do I want a refund? That's nice. Choices. Rather than just giving it to me and waiting for me to complain, because I didn't get what I ordered, but in actual fact the contents are what I ordered. But yeah, the branding has changed. So what we've got here is CalMag. As I said, Hannah took mine home, so I promptly ordered a replacement. I shall have to get my magnifying glass, because the there's another subject. I'll wander off on another subject. As I come up to my 76th birthday in October, my driving license has to be renewed. And there's been lots of blurb, lots of YouTube stuff, lots of promotions from the government saying that from now on, anybody over 70 will have to renew their driving license every 3 years, and they will need a specific eye test, that they will have to go to a proper optician. They will get a letter from the DVLC, the Government Department for Vehicles and Stuff. I forget what DVLC stands for, but it's, there are lots of interpretations of that. Not everybody gets on well with them. But basically this special eye test needed a letter from the DVLC saying that you have to have it, then you have to go to a specific opticians that have done a deal with the government and the DVLC to get all the custom. So if you had your own optician that you're used to going to for the last 50 years, you can't use them, because when you send your details in, they'll say that's not an authorised optician. So it gets rejected. So you have to use this specific one. And I checked my local one, and they do this very special eye test. The extra bits that you get, it's not just the distance. You have to be able to read a number plate at a certain distance. Well, I can do that easily. I can do it from quite a bit more than that distance, so I'm okay. But they test this. When you're looking here, how much of out here and out here can you see? Because often what's going on out here is what causes the accidents. So you need to be able to, you need good peripheral vision. Whew. That's before I start on the wine. Yes, so I think mine is fine. But anyway, I got the letter through to say my licence needs renewing, do it now. So I went online and did it now. And I had no request for any special eye test or anything else. And my licence turned up yesterday. So all that fuss and bother and worry over nothing. Typical of our government. Wind you up unessentially. Right, what was I going to do? We was going to have a look and see what's in this stuff. Right, Essentials CalMag. It's got an NPK of 1.800. That means it's actually got 1.8% of nitrogen. Calcium and magnesium supplement with added iron, uses instructions, blah blah blah. I don't need those because I use TDS meter. Nitrate nitrogen, we like that. Calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, iron, chelated by blah blah blah. Store away from strong direct light and between 5 and 25 degrees. 25! There are times when the house has been higher than that, but only by a couple of degrees. Do not exceed advised dosage, blah blah blah. That reads almost the same as the previous label. The only thing this one hasn't got that the other one had is a measuring container. The other one had a little cap that you take off that's got the, you know, different millilitres on it. This one hasn't. Oh, I hate these childproof locks because half the time they don't work. What it could be is this ring down here. So let's get that off. I said to Hannah about, I hate it ordering liquids in case they leak. And she said, well, they should have a seal. And she's right. God blimey, that's a bit vicious. Ow. Gotcha. Ah, now we're there. No, it's not a sealed bottle. Hannah said it should have a foil cap on it. So it's not a sealed bottle, but it didn't leak. So we now have CalMag. And having just said it hasn't got a cap, yes it has, I just took it off and didn't notice. I'm going to Lally, I think. Many white coats will be lining up out here. Right, so that's that one. And then we've got the other one. Right, so what we've got here is a new set of stuff for the RO unit. Making sure that's what I ordered. Yes, so we have a post-activated coconut carbon filter chlorine taste odour reduction. Maximum pressure 125 psi, maximum temperature 50 degrees C. If it gets that hot in this country, I'm moving to Greenland. Actually, that's not as safe as it used to be. Perhaps Iceland. Right, so we'll have that. And then this will be the other one, the get the dirt out filter. Yeah, PP sediment filter, rust, silt, dirt reduction. Direct sunlight to the housing is not permitted. That is worth saying online. Do not ever run your RO unit, especially if you've only got an outside tap like me, so you run it outside. Do not let the sun get on it. Yeah? And if you're running it in the winter, which I have to do not run it when it's down near freezing. The membrane inside is very, very fine and can be affected by cold temperatures more dramatically than the surrounding areas. So what might freeze at 3 degrees, if you think of frost, your membrane can freeze before it gets to that temperature because it's so fine. So this is the membrane, and this is just a replacement unit. These are sealed foil units. They have a screw end to them, so you take the plug off and you have pipework that joins all these three together, and you just screw your existing pipework straight into the top of this particular filter, both ends, and that's it, job done. So they're sealed in foil, cling film type stuff. This one's in a sealed container. And basically this one goes inside the unit. This is the membrane. This is strictly speaking the unit. Without this it don't work. This is the business. This is what takes the stuff out. And it's got rubber seals on this end. You push it in like that into the home it in that end, and when you push it, it seals with those rubber rings. And then this end basically has a screw top, yeah, and into the screw top goes one of your pipes. So basically there will be a pipe that comes from the tap. At some point in this system is a flow regulator, and that's an important little unit, because do you know what, I'm going to get the unit and put it on the table. If I get water all over my table, it'll be your fault. We'll see what I can do. Now I would quite happily change these units in front of you, but I'm not doing it in here simply because I only used this the other day, and so these units, these filters and the membrane are full of water. So if I take the end off, we're going to get a lot of water all over the place. Right, so that goes on the tap, yeah, so that goes on the outside tap, and the water comes through. These are the screw fittings that I was on about, with a spring-loaded clip to hold them in place, to hold the pipe in place. That's the PP unit, so that's the dirt filter, goes in through there, comes out the end, goes across here and goes into the carbon filter, yeah? So we've gone in that end. You have to get these, when you fit this, you have to get these round the right way. It's got a flow indicator on it with an arrow. Only a half-wit would get that wrong. This is the tap. This is where the water's coming from. That's the arrow of the flow. So the tap goes in that end. It's not difficult. Comes out that end, comes round here, goes into the carbon filter, comes out the end of there. Again, there's a flow indicator on there, and goes straight into the membrane with this big screw thing. This is the bit I might have trouble with. They give you, with the unit, when you buy it, a special spanner to undo this great big thing. And I've had a look and I can't find mine. I haven't got a clue where it is. So I'm going to have to try and undo that some other way. But yes, you basically take that off, and then somewhere in here you've got pressure going in here that, hang on, let me put this down, because this is the bit that I don't bother working out under normal circumstances. So out of the top of the membrane comes an amount of water down here and goes into the flow restrictor. That has a value, and depending on the value of that depends on how much good water comes out of here and how much wastewater comes out of here, and it can be quite dramatic. Now I changed mine and upped this quite dramatically. I almost doubled the flow restrictor. By doubling it, I'm halving its effect, so it stops only half the amount of water, which means a lot more comes out of the good end and a lot less waste comes out of that end. So I did that deliberately. You can play with them. It doesn't recommend it, but it doesn't do any harm. So that's your flow restrictor. That's incorporated into the system. Oh! And then, as I said, you've got out of the membrane here comes the good stuff. The amount of pipe you get on here is quite long, but I didn't want a long bit, I've only got a short bit. And they colour code it, and we're getting water on the table here. I thought I would. They colour code it so that you know this is the good stuff, and then the stuff that comes out the end here, wherever it's gone, goes down the drain. So although it's called waste, I don't think of it as waste. All of the water you use in your house, this is in the UK in the main, optimum word there, all the water that you use in your house that you consider wastewater, you know, when you have your shower, when you pull your plug out of your nice deep frothy bath that you've been sat in for half an hour, wrinkling all your skin, or when you've done all the washing up in the sink, or when your washing machine empties, all of that water goes into the system and goes back down to the water treatment works and in to be cleaned, and either goes back into the rivers or whatever, or back into the system. So it's not truly wasted. It's not rubbish, if you see what I mean. It goes back into the system. And I mean, nowadays we've got regulations. You used to have, like, your guttering and stuff like that. You used to be able to just let that go all over the place. You're not allowed now. That has to go into an enclosed system. You can't just let that go wherever you like. So there's an element of control there. So that's what my unit looks like and how it basically functions. Inside the membrane goes that. That will go in like that once that end comes off, if that end comes off. And then these two filters just replace the ones that are there. They don't live inside anything. The screw fittings on the end just go straight into the end of the filter. And that's the job done. Pardon me. And when I do this, I'm not doing it now, it's getting quite late in the day, quite honestly. The last lot of watering I've just done today was my cotyledons, because I ran out of time yesterday, where I did everything else. So I did the cotyledons and the phalaenopsis today, and I would have liked to have added some CalMag, but I didn't have it. It didn't arrive till this afternoon. Now there's a little thing, our Posty, our local Posty. She's about that high and weighs about 4 stone soaking wet. She's got a Eastern European accent. Now I'm not good enough to distinguish between sort of Ukraine, Romania, Poland, and the one we don't talk about. We don't get many of those over here. They're not as popular as they once were. But yeah, that type of accent. And she's good. She's got the kit on, you know, the normal sort of post office t-shirt and the shorts. But she runs. They have a trolley with stuff on. And she bundles up the next sort of so many houses and runs to deliver them in this heat. Very athletic person. And I've noticed the last 2 deliveries that I've had have failed. they've said failed to deliver, nobody in. The next day the buzzer goes, I go out and it's that lady, my regular postie. So I asked her today, I said, were you working yesterday? She said, no, it was my day off. I said, strange, the last time I had parcels they failed to deliver and you weren't working, and the next day you were working and I got my stuff. So it sounds like the substitute postie either can't work out how the intercom works or just can't be bothered and just takes the stuff back to the depot. Anyway, it got here today, and the trouble is I get a bit paranoid. If I get a failed to deliver, then I'm not prepared to go anywhere that could possibly mean that I don't hear the intercom buzzer go. So I sat here this morning not doing much at all, trying to waste time really, waiting for the deliveries to come, which they then did. So good stuff. So I won't need to put the RO unit on for a while, but when I do I will test it, because basically we had a few misdemeanors that meant I had a much higher TDS reading than I was expecting, and an unusual pH reading. Oh, the pH meter, by the way, appears to be okay. So having dried it out in the sunshine, it seems to be okay. I don't totally trust it at the moment, and for 20 quid I'm thinking of just getting the replacement anyway. It's old, it's, you know, it's done well, but I'll see how it goes. At the moment it seems to be giving sensible readings given my knowledge of what it's reading. You know, the amount of water, the amount of feed that's gone in. I have an expected value. As long as it's somewhere near that, it's sort of working okay, isn't it? So there we go. What's today? It says here on the calendar, it says it's Thursday. Right, I took a day off, sort of. Oh, the eclipse and stuff. An update. The bit on the end without a break. I did go out to the front where I had a clear view of the sun with the camera, and I was careful with the eyes. First thing I did was go out in the back garden and look through that giant tree at the sun to see if I could see anything. So I then came back in here and waited 10 minutes for the blob to disappear. Thank you. That's where you learn. The people who keep saying don't look at the sun are right. It means it. Okay, I didn't do any damage, but so I went out in the front, and what I did with the camera is I sort of filmed off to one side and then waved the camera across the sun, because it is potentially capable of damaging lenses, camera lenses, because your camera works like a magnifying glass really, which is what it is. What it's doing is taking that and focusing it on a small point. Well, if that's the sun that it's doing that with, it can do damage. So I didn't want to mess my camera up. And I tried it again at its full eclipse value, which around here I think was about 92%, something like that. So again, I sort of waved the camera across. Now I didn't come in and take those clips off the camera, I left them on there. Now thinking that I did sort of say I'd try and film the meteor shower. Well, at 3:10 this morning I needed to get up for that horrible reason that annoys you and breaks your sleep for the night. So having done that, I thought it was 3:10. I'm going to go down and put the camera out in the garden. So I did. So I came down in my dressing gown, set the camera up in the garden pointing at the sky, and I left it running. I intended to leave it running half an hour. It ended up being out there for an hour because I fell asleep in the chair. Anyway, I went and got it in. I took all the clips off of the camera this morning, and I had a look at the sun clips, and I took them into my video editing software and did everything I possibly could to clean them up, and all I got was a blob. I could not get it to show the eclipse. So I deleted those, miserable failure, and like I said, everybody watched it on TV. you know, and they've got much better cameras and lots of much better places to be than I have. So yeah, and I saw it all on the news the next day. And because I left the camera on for so long, I had a lot of clips of the sky. Actually, I had a lot of black clips. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Not the stars, nothing. So I had 6 or 7 clips of black. It was nice black. It was nice clean black, you know, but no, so we go. So, total waste of time. We didn't get anything. I'd have thought there was enough ambient light for that camera to lock on to something, but no, it's worth a try. So we didn't get any film of the eclipse and we didn't get any of the meteor shower. If you've only just heard about the meteor shower, there will be some tonight, and because it's a new moon, there's not a lot of ambient light from the moon, so if you can get somewhere reasonably dark, the tail end of that meteor shower will be tonight and possibly tomorrow, so you haven't totally missed it. But the night just gone was its peak, so there we go. Miserable failure as far as filming all those nighttime events and evening events were. So we have new filters. That will get that back to, it's as good as brand new, because if you think about it, these 3 elements here are the unit. The other bits and pieces, apart from the flow restrictor, are just bits of pipe. That's all they are, and a tap connector. So that's that done, and we've now got our CalMag with its new packaging, and I'm reliably told that it's exactly the same stuff in the bottle as it was before, and looking at the analysis on the label, I would say yes, it is, as near as damn it. I think quite honestly there's a bit more nitrogen in this than there was in the last lot. That can't be bad, because on occasions I will be doing what I call a CalMag run, where that's all that's in the water. I don't use pure RO water on my orchids anymore. There's always something in there, even if it's just a little bit of feed, you know, with a TDS of 50 or something like that, just a token gesture. But doing a CalMag only run is not out of the question, and I'd probably have a TDS of about 60 or 70, possibly as high as 80, but that's 70's enough. And if you do that on a run on its own, you know, when you're watering relatively dry pots, you can guarantee it's going to get in the plant. And yeah, it's good stuff. So you can add it to your feed, or you can use it as a standalone sort of feed, although it's not. I mean, there's a lot of people do a seaweed run. Oh, there's some good stuff in seaweed, don't get me wrong, but it's not a feed. Technically it is not a fertiliser. If it was, it would have to have an NPK value, and it hasn't. But it's got some good stuff in. So my feed has seaweed extract in it, so it's got some of that good stuff within it, as well as everything else. That's why I chose it, and it's a liquid, so it don't go off, which is also why I chose it. And this is also a liquid. If you've ever got CalMag, for goodness sake, give it a good shake before you use it. That goes to any liquid feed of any sort, really. Give it a good shake. I remember once a Jethro Tull concert, I think it was from the States, and it was being broadcast to the UK via satellite. I think it was the first time that concept had ever been used. And Ian Anderson was doing one of his announcements. He's quite sort of posh speaking, and very well educated, and he's over and above a lot of the audience the way he speaks. When he does announcements, it's all, you know, it's a bit over the top really. But I love the band. But basically he was going over the band, and this is so-and-so, so-and-so, round of applause, and this is so-and-so, so-and-so. And then when he went to the keyboard player and he said, and this is, oh, he's gone for a piss. Sorry, language. And then as he was finishing off introducing the band, the keyboard player came back and he just looked at him and he went, did you give it a good shake? And this is on live TV effectively, but made me laugh. I suspect that concert's still around on YouTube somewhere, or bits of it. As I said, it was broadcast via satellite, and that was in not early Jethro Tull days, but medium, because obviously they went on a lot longer than a lot of people say they should have done. Band members changed. I mean, during a major tour, the bass player died. Somebody Glascock, I think his name was. I forget. But and if you look at some of the complexities of Jethro Tull music, the time signatures, the stop-start bits, all like that, where everybody's got to be spot on, to actually replace the bass player, who was a real integral part of that tightness in the band, in the middle of a tour. So whoever took that job on must have really known their music and been a good musician. So yeah, I admired whoever that was, even though I can't for the life of me remember who they were. But yeah, probably one of the few rock bands with a flute. Right, I'm going to leave it at that because I'm waffling and wandered off into various subjects, as I do. And it's very rare for me to be sat here. You know, this is my laptop station. Directly there are the bird feeders. There are my orchids in bloom. This is my workstation. This is where I spend an amount of my time, probably too much. What I'm going to film for the rest of the week, I don't really know. Potentially I'm going to be out most of Saturday, but that's unconfirmed at the moment. Waiting to see. Tomorrow's Friday. I haven't got a clue what I'm going to film tomorrow, and then we're into the Sunday chat. So and that'll be a normal Sunday. I've got quite a few weekends now where I'm not away. I haven't got anything on, so I'll be here. But as I said, this week my Monday off didn't happen because I didn't do the Sunday chat. That got left till Monday, and it still seemed pretty popular, so I'm pleased about that. Oh, here's all you good people in America, not necessarily in America, but most likely, that are actually members of the American Orchid Society. You get a magazine every month, and in the August magazine there's an article that mentions my channel. Somebody pointed it out to me. Thank you very much for that. But I can't get at it, and I'm not joining the American Orchid Society at those prices just to have a look at a magazine. Now that magazine to members is downloadable as a PDF. So if somebody wants to be really naughty, they could email me that as an attachment, and I didn't ask, and I can't expect to volunteer. But if it turned up in my email address, it would be absolutely wonderful, because I'd like to see it, see what somebody said. Yeah, it's on page 600 and some or other. That must be a big magazine if that's the page number. But yeah, big society obviously, American Orchid Society. And I'm sure there are people watching that are members. So it's a matter of, does somebody want to look up my email address, which is in the description of every video that I do, including this one, and actually attach that PDF and send it to me. No names. I wouldn't dream of mentioning who does it, but I would like to read it. And that's the only way I can get at it, because I'm certainly not joining the society at those prices just to read a magazine. Anyway, that would be a big favour, greatly appreciated. And on that note, if you're not subscribed to this channel, it would be nice if you did so. It doesn't cost anything, it's only a tick box. And also, don't forget your old thumbs up. And if you haven't done it this week, you're leaving it a bit late, but don't forget your 3 hypes, which you do for videos you'd like to personally promote. You can put all 3 on the same video. You can do 3 videos on the same channel. You can do 3 videos on 3 totally different channels. It's entirely up to you. But they could do with being used. It's YouTube doing something for nothing. Doesn't cost anybody anything, that helps smaller channels. They must have had an off day. That's not like them at all, is it? Greed normally sets in before any nice things. But yeah, that is something nice that they did, and it's appreciated. So don't forget to use it. And the other thing I keep forgetting to say is don't forget I do have an Orchid Facebook group. Now, it's not getting a lot of activity lately, but if you're anything like me, I'm going off Facebook. It's starting to get hiccups that annoy me. So I don't look at it as often. I belong to, in my personal Facebook, that's not the one you can get at, I belong to quite a lot of Facebook groups, nature groups, bird watching groups, butterfly groups, things like that. And there's some things that annoy me that don't make it as easy to use as it used to be. But the Orchid Facebook group that goes with this channel, again, details in the description. It's a private group, so you have to join, and at the front of the group before you can join is a question. If you don't answer the question, you don't get in, sorry. And the reason that was put there was to exclude primarily non-speaking English people, because they wouldn't contribute much. That's not being rude, that's just how it is. And also it stops the mass collectors, those, you know, you have a look, they've got 780 friends. No, you haven't. Nobody's got 780 friends. You just go round ticking everything under the sun to get the number as big as possible, as though you think it's actually going to do something for you. It does nothing apart from make you look like an idiot, quite honestly. So those sort of people don't get in. But yes, if you answer that question and mention the YouTube channel, you're in straight away. Or if you say things like interested in finding out more about orchids, words like that, that's the sort of thing that the question implies you need to say. I've had quite a few people have answered the question with yes. Yeah, that don't work either, you're out. Means you haven't understood the question. But at least you must have read that there is a question there to put an answer. Most people don't answer the question. Well, that's it. I just delete those applications straight away. But it's there. And people post pictures of their orchids, pride and joy and stuff. They post pictures of problems. They put questions up with problems. And there's a lot of good growers on there that are only willing to help. I don't get involved that much, apart from actually admitting the posts. So each post that comes up doesn't go onto the group until I authorise it. So in the morning I have a look and I think, yeah, that's okay, yeah, that's okay. So far I think in all the time it's been there, I've only blocked less than half a dozen posts. And most of those because of the word, not because of the pictures, but because of the words that went with them. They had undertones or overtones, whichever way you look at it. And I've actually taken down 2 posts in all that time. So it's a relatively friendly, pretty easy going orchid place to put your pictures up, because you know, people who want to ask me a question, I've got this orchid, and on YouTube you can't show it to me, but on Facebook you can. So that's what I put it up there for. So that's there, that's in the description as well, along with the link to the other channel, the gardening and bonsai channel. Not that I post on there very often, but I do. And yeah, waffling again. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.